This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we will be starting the class. Today we will talk about hepatocellular carcinoma and its surgical management part. We will be briefly talking about infection, etiopathogenesis, clinical features, diagnosis, and treatment. So, hepatocellular carcinoma is the most common primary malignancy of the liver. But the most common malignancy of the liver is metastasis. So, hepatocellular carcinoma in adults is the most common primary malignancy of liver. Highest in around Asia and Africa because of incidence of hepatitis B virus. Okay. Developing nations, it is more common than developed nations, increase incidence with age. So simply two reasons are there: cirrhosis and non-cirrhotic factors. Cirrhosis, alcohol, hepatitis viruses B, C, these viruses, and other diseases like hemochromatosis, other things. Okay. So non-cirrhotic factors is also there. NASH, it is called NASH, non-alcoholic associated steatohepatitis, etc. Okay. So predominantly alpha anti-1 deficiency, etc. Predominantly in chronic liver disease and cirrhosis. So 25% of people don't have cirrhosis or any risk factors for this. 75% only in these cases. Majority seen in endemic for HCV and hepatitis B. Nowadays it is increasing. NASH is increasing. So the reason for the increase in case of hepatocellular carcinoma is early diagnosis. That's all. Because previously incidental findings are not there, no ultrasound, no CT scan. Nowadays they are frequently done, so they are frequently being picked up. So chronic hepatitis B C virus increases risk by 1,000 times, while it is 80% increase. 80% of people infected with HCV will develop chronic infection. Okay. HBV it is 1,000 infection, and HCV both increases multiple times. So they are act in sync with each other. So risk for HCC multiplies very much. So this is very dangerous. HBV with its HCV is more dangerous. Okay. So other reasons are pills, hemochromatosis, etc., etc. So etiology we have seen viral hepatitis, non-viral hepatitis, alcohol. Some biological mechanisms like toxins like aflatoxin, they act on the DNA repair mechanisms, etc. Circulating tumors is a reason for liver malignancy, but it is not a primary one. Okay, so so common causes of cirrhosis, you see, alcohol, biliary cirrhosis, biliary obstruction. What do you mean by biliary obstruction? Primary biliary cirrhosis, primary sclerosing cholangitis, these cases. Not just CBD obstruction due to stones or something, because it is not a chronic event or an inflammatory reaction. Okay, so chronic hepatitis B or C virus, hemochromatosis, etc. Less common causes: autoimmune hepatitis, drugs, toxins, genetic metabolic diseases, infections like Clonorchis sinensis. The infection here means parasites, Clonorchis sinensis, etc. Vascular abnormalities like hemangioma, these are very rare. Incidence is very, very low. So the main event here is the inflammation causing chronic liver disease, which causes cirrhosis and forming hepatocellular carcinoma. So this is the main pathway. Final pathway will be this. Okay, so there are other pathways also, genetics directly causing chromosome 1 and 8 anomalies, direct toxin mediated, aflatoxin mediated direct toxins, carcinogens, other things. So workup, how do you present? First we will look for the clinical features. See, the majority of the day clinical features as on date is with chronic liver disease. So symptoms are also, clinical features are also same. Pruritus, jaundice, splenomegaly, variceal bleeding, cachexia, hepatic encephalopathy. Uncommonly right upper quadrant pain, paraneoplastic syndromes. They can also show increasing girth, abdominal girth, etc. So these are mainly features of chronic liver disease. So there are different clinical presentations in high incidence areas and low incidence areas, presentations of symptoms and everything. Yeah, you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, so presentation of disease is different between high incidence areas and low incidence areas. In high incidence areas, duration is very low, but symptoms more, abdominal pain or discomfort are more in the high incidence areas. Hemorrhage is also there, increased cirrhosis, hepatitis C virus, these are very common in these areas, high incidence areas. Hepatitis B is more common in high incidence areas, while hepatitis C is more common in low incidence areas. Okay, and presence of hepatitis B antigen is also more in these areas. Alpha fetoprotein is raised more in case of high incidence areas, hepatitis B associated, not so with low incidence areas. Okay, so these are the clinical features. If you have to take only a single biochemical entity, it is alpha fetoprotein. Okay, almost 80% of cases it will be raised, not all cases, but 80%. But elevation more than 400 nanograms with features, radiological features of HCC, high specificity. If it is more than 1000, cirrhosis more than 1000, so it is presumed that it is hepatocellular carcinoma. So ultrasound is used for screening in such cases, high risk cases like cirrhotic patients, otherwise. Okay. And level of alpha fetoprotein correlates inversely with prognosis. More alpha fetoprotein, poorer the prognosis. So how do you work out? Same. The first and foremost is imaging. Next is biochemical. Then how do you stage? And depending on that, we treat. So So diagnosis is radiology. The gold standard is CT, triphasic CT, multi-phase CT scan is a diagnosis. Arterial, early arterial, late arterial, and portal venous delayed phases. These phases, okay, triple phase: early arterial, portal venous, and delayed. 3. So hypervascular pattern and arterial enhancement. This is because HCCs are mainly supplied by hepatic artery. That is the reason in the case of hepatocellular carcinoma, to downstage it or for palliative treatment, arterial embolization is done. Okay, tumor capsule, internal mosaic, variable attenuation within the tumor. I mean, like hepatocellular carcinoma and renal cell carcinoma are the malignancies which infiltrate the veins. Okay, renal cell carcinoma, they cause invasion into the IVC and portal. The hepatocellular carcinoma invades into IVC and portal. It can do. So this is the arterial phase enhancement. You can see aorta is enhanced, and the same time this is enhanced. And when, while coming to the venous phase, it is washed out. Hepatic MRI not really more better. Like it is only superior when size of the lesion is small. That's all. Other than that, no specific importance. Not used commonly. CT is the most common thing used. So once we will come to the biochemical findings, we have already talking about AFP. So other things what we see is anemia because of chronic liver disease or bleeding viruses, etc. Thrombocytopenia suggests splenomegaly and portal hypertension. Hyponatremia, again cirrhosis. Hepatorenal syndrome presenting with increased creatinine level. Altered PTINR albumin status. Okay. Hypoglycemia due to decreased liver glycogen stores and elevated liver enzymes. So hepatitis B surface antigen increases especially in high incidence in endemic areas. Increased iron saturation is also suggestive of hemochromatosis. This will be done when suspected of hemochromatosis is there. Alpha antitrypsin 1 deficiency, low alpha trypsin levels, etc. Hypercalcemia is also a feature. Ectopic parathyroid hormone presented up to 10% cases of hepatocellular carcinoma. This is biochemical things. So it is mainly, diagnosis is mainly radiology. If the lesion is more than 2 centimeters in size, only one radiological investigation is enough, CT or MRI, to call it hepatocellular carcinoma. If it is less than 1 centimeter, less than 2, and more than 1, then 2 radiological investigations, CT and MRI with 1 biochemical investigation. Less than 1, then you will probably need to go for biopsy. Okay, so biopsy, it is controversial. Some say not to use because tumor seedling problem is there, etc., and it may become inoperable just by doing biopsy. Okay, so only when cases less than 1 centimeters, we follow with biopsy. No biopsy, we follow. We see whether the tumor is growing in size or not. 1 to 2, when doubtful, then biopsy may be done. So, but there is still controversial. Some institutes don't like to do biopsy in liver cancers. More than 2, there is no need for doing any biopsy. Directly hepatectomy. Okay. How do you stage? It is staging is done by PET CT scan, triple phase CT scan, and PET CT scan to look for any metastasis. So this is severity, as we already seen. So we have to look for all. See, the patient is, if the patient is planned for any surgery, so preoperative workup is mandatory. Liver functions, renal functions, pulmonary functions, management of hepatopulmonary syndrome, hepatorenal syndrome, prothrombin time, albumin correction, etc., etc., has to be done. And also hepatitis B and C virology also has to be looked into. So as we have now diagnosed, come to the diagnosis, now the treatment options. So the treatment options is determined by few factors. Okay, 1, the stage of the disease, TNM staging. Next, a child pug score classes, child pug scores A, B, C in cirrhotics. Third, invasion of the surrounding structures, that also comes in the TNM staging. Life expectancy of the patient following the surgery, and life expectancy and performance criteria of the patient. Simply to put, performance criteria is called ASA, American Society Anesthesiologist criteria. If the general stage of the person is not really good, there is no point in doing surgery. It's only a palliative treatment. So surgery is resection of the tumor with or without liver transplant. So resection of tumors, you know, liver is divided into 8 parts, 8 segments on Koinot classification. You have to completely remove that segments. Okay, so either it will be right hepatectomy or left hepatectomy. If the liver volume is less, then plus or minus you have to go for liver transplant. So other things are like ablation therapies, regional liver therapies like ACE and intensive radiotherapy, intensity modulation radiotherapy, medical management. So main line of management is surgery, but by the time liver malignancies are diagnosed, 85% are advanced. So no point in doing any curative surgeries. Only 15% are operable because the symptoms are very vague. It is very rarely diagnosed very early. And other reasons, general condition of the patient, as we already talked about, cirrhosis is the most common reason. So the general condition is usually on the lower side. So as I said, childpox A, B, C. So if the person is childpox C, that means the person is really in a poor general condition. So majority of the times they will not be able to tolerate. The liver is already dysfunctional. So in such case, if they used to do only what do you call palliative treatment, just like above ablation, regional liver therapies or other things. But now trends are changing very much. Now they are doing total hepatectomy with auxiliary liver transplant, orthotopic liver transplant. The reason previously hepatocellular carcinoma in cirrhotics also, if they do even total hepatectomy and liver transplant, the results are not good because of recurrence of malignancy. But now improved therapies and everything is there. Early diagnosis of malignancy is also there. So results are a bit more on the better side, but still it is in the experimental stages. Okay. So as I said, number, site, location of the tumors, presence or absence of cirrhosis, ASA class, performance criteria, total means presence or absence of metastasis, and other things like these things has also been taken. Ursodiol for pruritus, lactulose for encephalopathy, sodium restriction and diuretics for ascites, sclerosis for varices, antibiotics should also be given. So this is BCLC, Barcelona Liver Clinic, management for hepatocellular carcinoma. If it is an early stage malignancy, less than 2 centimeters, stage A childpug, and good ASA classification, then whether we have to see whether it is a single or multiple nodule. Single nodule, normal portal pressure, go for resection. Simple. If it is multiple nodules or associated diseases, portal hypertension is increased as, then you have to go either for liver transplantation along with liver resection, or these things, radio frequency ablation, percutaneous techniques, and other things. If it is intermediate stage, then multinodular, etc., then you have to go for chemoembolization. So from stage A, B, C. If it is only early stage, then this thing. If it is not intermediate stage, it is non-operative management. See, intermediate, advanced, and terminal stage. If it is a terminal stage, then there is no point. There is only symptomatic treatment. There is something called Okuda classification. It is very simple. You can remember tumor size, ascites, albumin, and bilirubin. On these factors, you will find these things. Only four parts: tumor, ascites, albumin, bilirubin. All these three are liver functions: albumin, ascites, and bilirubin, and the third one is tumor size. The more the tumor points, the less the chances of recovery. So early the stage, better the early the Okuda stage, better the prognosis. More the Okuda increases, then the chances for surgical cure will become less. Okay. So we will talk about the TNM. Simple 2, 5. Simple, like you remember, like the rest only. TNM less than 2, 2 to 5, more than 5, and involvement of surrounding structures. Very simple. T1A less than 2 centimeters, no vascular invasion. T2A or T1B less than 2 centimeters, This is also less than 2 centimeters without vascular invasion. Some mistake is there, sorry. So if it is 2 to 5 centimeters or multiple tumors, if it is maybe involving the vasculature, it may involve the vasculature. Okay, if T3 multifocal, at least one more than 5 centimeters, just like breast, 2 to 5 more than 5 involving the surrounding structures. Here, if it is involving surrounding structures, means gallbladder, if it is involved, doesn't mean it is involving. It has to breach the peritoneum. So you know there is a part where gallbladder and liver are attached. So that part, if it is involved, it is not considered T4. But only when the peritoneal side is involved, then it will become T4, TNM. Okay, so this is the TNM classification. Staging is a bit above your level. So this is the TNM classification. So this is again CLIP classification. CLIP, Child-Pugh score, tumor pathology, tumor morphology, alpha fetoprotein, and portal vein thrombosis. These are the parts. If portal vein thrombosis is present, okay, this is actually a bad prognosticating feature for any HCC. Okay, so Child-Pugh A, B, C, more the Child-Pugh score, lesser the prognosis. And as I said before, 400 is the cutoff. 400 with radiological features, 95% sensitivity for liver malignancy. So again, this is one of the most important criteria you have to remove. This is an exam question, Milan criteria and UCSF criteria. So this is for cases which require liver transplant in a case of hepatocellular carcinoma, if you are planning for. So if in a hepatocellular carcinoma, it is less than 5 centimeters or less than 3 nodules, each not more than 3 centimeters, with without vascular or extrahepatic invasion, it is possible for hepatectomy and liver transplantation. But UCSF, it is expanded now, 6.5 centimeters, less than 3 nodules, and largest not more than 4.5. Here, single largest lesion more 4.5. Okay, and total tumor diameter not more than 8 centimeters. This is a modification of Milan's criteria. University of California, San Francisco. So surgery, as I said, irresectable. If it is metastatic, Child-Pugh, extensive bilobar disease, inadequate functional reserve, poor general condition, these cases are not ideal cases for surgery. Even though in surgery, non-anatomic resection or anatomical resections. As I said, anatomy, 8 segments. If you remove segmentally, it is anatomic. If you are not bothering about the anatomical relations, it is non-anatomic. To improve resectability, now what they are doing, so if there is a malignancy in the right lobe of liver and if you have to remove the left lobe, so left lobe volume is low, so to improve the volume of the liver, what they do in the right lobe, they will block the hepatic artery or the portal vein, they will block. Portal vein embolization, once it is done, 2 things will happen. Now the left lobe has to increasingly take because portal vein is blocked on the right, it has to take more amount of blood for metabolizing. So it will slowly start. 4 weeks it will take. It will slowly grow by hyperplasia. Okay, or trans-arterial chemoembolization, both will be done. So by doing that, right lobe will contract in size, while left lobe will increase in size. This is just for example. It can be done on the left lobe also. Okay, so if the functional liver reserve is less and it is not meeting, then liver transplantation is done following the Milan criteria or UCSF criteria. So then other things are ablation criteria only. Ablative therapy up to 3 centimeters, ablative therapy. Indications for bridging for transplant, reducing the risk of tumor progression. Palliative procedures extending disease-free survival. DFS is disease-free survival. It will be done percutaneous. Radio frequency ablation is done percutaneously using a probe. Radio frequency probe will be there, which will be something like an umbrella. It will be put under ultrasound guidance within the malignancy center, exactly in the center of the malignancy. On radio frequency ablation, it will have a zone of necrosis, kill zone. Okay. High intensity focused ultrasound, cryoablation, etc. Ethanol injection is obsolete. It is not now done. So some things like electroporation Akka nanoknife, something I never came across also, maybe something very new it is. So regional liver therapy is a transarterial chemoembolization or selective intraarterial radiotherapy. Most commonly done is a transarterial chemoembolization. It is done using hepatic artery. Transarterial chemoembolization, in which drug-eluting pellets like yttrium, etc., are introduced into the artery, where it will block the artery on that side, and it will start producing gamma rays or beta rays. These rays will be produced from these pellets, which because hepatocellular carcinoma is most commonly supplied by artery. 80% blood supply is by hepatic artery. So the effect will be there on the liver malignancy. So other things are stereotactic radiosurgery and the bone marrow. Systemic chemotherapy, sorafenib and sunitinib. These are the two things. Metastatic disease, irresectable disease, early diseases, so downstaging of tumor. So these conditions where systemic therapy is used. So screening, whom should be undergoing screening? High risk patients, cirrhotic patients, hepatitis B antigen positive, chronic disease. They are suffering from HbA1c positive very long time. So they have to undergo 6 monthly ultrasound of abdomen with alpha fetoprotein. No extra benefit with 3 monthly screening. Okay. So now screening increases early detection of hepatocellular carcinoma, especially if it is small, increased surgery and increased survival and increased cost effectiveness also. So if its surveillance is there, 1 to 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters or less than 1. Less than 1 centimeter, we usually don't consider it as a malignancy. We will be following again 3 to 4 months. Now, when the lesion appears, it will be 3 to 4 month interval. If it is enlarging, suspect it to be malignancy and then go for the next level of things. If it is stable for over 2 years, then standard surveillance protocol. So if it is more than 2, one technique is enough. Malignancy, typical malignancy. If vascular pattern is doubtful, some suggest biopsy, majority don't do any biopsy. Okay, directly go for treatment as a hepatocellular carcinoma. Cirrhosis, more than 2, radiologically positive, and alpha fetoprotein is raised. Typical vascularity patterns and alpha fetoprotein based. If it is less than 2, then 2 dynamic imagings. If 2 are also typical, plus or minus biopsy. If diagnosis of HCC, surgery. Other diagnosis, treat accordingly. Non-diagnostic, repeat biopsy, positive or negative. Okay. So if it is typically pattern vascularity with one technique, then biopsy. Okay. So in this case, biopsy is indicated. Typical vascularity in only one technique, then biopsy will is indicated. So ultrasound, as we said, okay, so easily done, bedside, low cost, acceptable to patient. Echogenicity is good. Arterial blood supply, neovascularization is also seen. Other side effects is segment 8 is being on very far back. It is very difficult to observe these 7 and 8 segments, so small lesions are not seen. That is the main defect. Alpha fetoprotein, as we said, 20% of cases have no rise in alpha fetoprotein. More important to look about the tumor burden and prognostication. It is not a good screening tool, but both together it is a good screening tool. So this is some studies where it is seen cirrhotics and number of HCC identified. So there is something also called fibrolamellar variant of hepatocellular carcinoma. So this is seen in young females. Opposite to HCC, it is seen in old males. Okay, young females are more common. No geographical distribution. Most commonly solitary, and it is very slow growing, capsulated. Even though it is advanced in presentation, even though it's a fibrolamellar variant is advanced in presentation, the treatment is favorable. Prognosis is favorable. Because of its indolent nature of the disease. Alpha fetoprotein is not raised, viral infection is not there, cirrhosis is not there. It is a well circumscribed lesion, often lobulated mask with central gray and white scale. This is the most characteristic feature. Central scarring is the most characteristic feature of hepatocellular carcinoma on comparison to fibrolamellar carcinoma on comparison to hepatocellular carcinoma. So in histology, it will be like eosinophilic polygonal shaped cells separated by lamellar fibrosis. Overall, greater differentiation than hepatocellular carcinoma. So this is the difference. This is a question for you actually. Differences between hepatocellular carcinoma and fibrolamellar carcinoma. So despite advanced stage, prognosis is good in hepatocellular carcinoma, fibrolamellar variant, more female presentation, no geographical predisposition, no cirrhosis, no AFP raised. Treatment is surgical. Surgery is really good. So histological appearances are very much clear-cut differentiation between hepatocellular carcinoma and fibrolamellar variant of carcinoma. Okay. So these are the questions what you need to learn. Exam orientation in the case of hepatocellular carcinoma. So anyone have doubt, they can ask me. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Speak loudly. I can't hear you actually.
No, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you can ask. If you don't have any doubts, we will end the class.
No
Okay.
doubt, sir.
Okay, thank you.